person named PKC21 asked me to respond. That was about the video I posted that he commented. It's called Let's Meditate 151, Find a Way to Be in the Way of Nature. And I responded quickly, but that was last night, and here is my response. My view is, it is for each person to find out. So it may be like your mission in life. If you don't mind sharing with me, I may be curious to hear. We'll discuss it if you like. What would that be for me? I may be able to share with you, but it may be best for each to find out and then talk. But I may make a short video. So that was my response, and I'm responding right now. So I said it's like a mission, and I said that it is for each person to find out. Since I was watching this video, let me talk about it first. I was watching Geoffrey Hinton. He used to work at Google on AI. He got the Nobel Prize. And I can post what the URL I watched this video. I was so impressed. He's about my age. He said something about the safety of AI after he left. But he said that's not the reason for leaving, because he was at the 75, 76 at the time, and he started to be not remembering certain things, and it's a good time to go back to what he really wanted to do, which is a continuation of the AI stuff. And he was sharing his life story, where he started and so on and so forth. So I could tell that story was very impressive for me. And because I ask this question quite often, the question is, why do we do what we do? It's like the meaning, right? And why I started to ask that question, I have no idea, but maybe I was curious because someone told me from high school days, whom I still meet, said that I like to interview people. And how he could find out when I was at the high school, I don't know. But anyway, that's my curiosity. So maybe something to do with my mission, but let me finish this Geoffrey Hinton story. So he was moving one to the other subject, architecture, chemical, physics, and so on and so forth, and get into AI. And I was so impressed the way he organized his thought for each of the questions promptly and to the point. And I was thinking, how does he do what he does? And I could see in my mind, his brain is so well organized. And there are many stories, but I'm not going to get into it because no time. But he had a strong opinion, so let me say this, that he was asked to have an introduction of someone, very famous guy. I know he's famous, Nobel Prize winner too. But he said he wouldn't be able to do it because if he is to do it, then he has to talk about something that is making him to think he's not doing the right thing, or something like that. Very straightforward. So he has some picture, and whatever the angle of the question this guy was asking, he could locate what part of the brain where and why and how he could explain. So the interview was very good, and the response was very good, and I was totally impressed. So on his life, I bet he can answer the meaning of his life very clearly, but watching that video indicated that he's got the mission quite right to what he really wants to do and help the society And I think his parents had and the grandparents had some academic orientation, so maybe something to do with it. Because he said there are two nieces who may have some possibility of following, carrying on his work or something like that. So his concise understanding and what he's doing, and he showed that the very gentle manner and the clear way to explain any question that came to him. So I was totally amazed. And of course, that's not the point of this, but that's good if you have a chance to take a look at it, because I'll put it into the description. Anyway, back to my story, but that is connected to that story of Geoffrey Hinton, although I'm not the Nobel Prize winner. I had the curiosity, so I also had this subject, that subject, electrical engineering and the nuclear, and I even did the Fukushima safety analysis back 30, 40 some years ago, and then left because there are so many bright people. I went to business, and then worked with the Boston Consulting Company. There are too many bright people. I thought this is not the place to go. So I moved on and on, kind of like he did. I guess I was listening to my heart. And I said this in one of the videos, and maybe 2 or 3 of them, because my memory when I was working at Toshiba in nuclear, I had a day I didn't want to just keep on doing my job. The company was very appreciating my work, and I was moving to California and San Jose and nuclear division of GE and on, and then, so anyway, but at that time, I found this vase, and there's the goldfish in it, and the goldfish was just one, and I thought I'm one of them, in the mini universe that I had. And that mini universe for the goldfish, he's alone doing his best. And I can have this mini universe of working in this company and doing things and being appreciated. And but I didn't want to become the CEO of the company. That is too much to say. But there are certain bureaucracies, and I couldn't project my future that would be blossoming my imagination. So that was good to question, and I had the problem of solving, and it took time. But I found a way. Then another story that triggered me, that was when I was in the college, I wanted to go to New Zealand, and my father said maybe no. And Japanese, father-son relationship. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and I said, oh, maybe I can. But I really wanted to test out and see different country. And I have more stories about trying to figure out. Maybe I'll tell you because it popped up. When I was graduating from the college, we take a picture of the class, 240 people in this whole class of electrical engineering. And I look at the camera, and they take 1, 2, 3, take photo. And at the time, 1, 2, and then I moved to sideways. I don't know why, but I couldn't look at the camera. The reason is maybe playfulness, but I knew something is not quite right. If I have my picture looking at the camera like other, 200 or so people, then I'm kind of stuck with that view of my future with that ancient background. So maybe I'm rebellious, playful, but there was something happening in me. So those are the triggering events that I shared my background. It may not work on your case, but since you asked the question about this CPK guy asked the question, I'm just reflecting. And then I tied to the Geoffrey Hinton's case of his moving around and doing things. So after that, I get into Zen and some encounter with the book of Daisetsu, and that creeped into me, and I really wanted to do it, so I worked, but half of the time was more into this too. So it's kind of following the, what's the word, intuition, and have some sense of creating the vision to see if options given, is that something I want to do. I think that's critical to find the meaning, because meaning not from the sense of someone else, like my father may say this or that, my friend may say this or that. When I decided to move to the US, are you sure? And because I'm doing it for the sake of my belief in it, because I read the book and one sentence said that this is In Search of Excellence is the name of the book, and it said at page 129, or I don't know, he was interviewing the GM worker and asking some question, and the GM worker said that I have worked here for 15 years, but in that 15 years, nobody asked me any suggestion, not once. And I was so, how do you call that feeling? Feeling sad that people work and not being able to contribute, even though they have lots of ideas. So I had this background of working with Toshiba and knowing people, and also Toyota, and how the Japanese way may help people to be motivated, to have empowering atmosphere for them to have a suggestion program and the QC circle and integrating. So that was the time, 1980s, that people are talking in Japan as number one. And there's a reason for them to be good, to incorporate people's power with their management styles and harmony, and cultivating that kind of a way aligned to how to reduce the waste, and so on, so on, and so forth. So those are the strategy and the approaches. And I kind of jumped into that, the surf, picking the wave to surf, because I knew something about it. So I thought, well, maybe I moved to the US because that's the situation. There's a gap of the people at the lower level, let's say shop floor level, and the higher level. They tell them, the people, what to do, and people may have idea, but they may not listen. So the people start to say, well, just tell me what to do. And that didn't make sense. So I wrote books about waste elimination, appreciating the talent of people, and all of that. And for each person to have this idea of mini company, which is like a mini universe I talked about, that you are the president of that mini universe, or mini company, I call it. So what's your mission? Who are the customer suppliers? What are the KPI, key performance indicator? What's the quality and cost delivery, people satisfaction, all that kind of stuff. And what's your business plan? And what's your annual report? So that was the idea. It's beyond what Japanese was famous about, the QC circle and so forth, but because of the US situation, people are more entrepreneurial to find their own destiny. So why not use that idea packaged together with the concept of mini company, and let them be the president to write annual report, and the annual report shared with the people and then with the bankers, their bosses. And so those are the activities I did with the idea that I had in Japan, then brought into, I felt like parachuting into the desert to figure out what to do, but I found the way. And that was one of the most interesting part of my life, to see if it may fail, what do you do? And so on and so forth. So I'm full of energy and interest, and people help me because I helped the company in writing the paper and speaking, and then decide to write the book, and then decide to write do the videos and so forth. So that's from my age 30 something to 40 plus, and start to travel around the world. So that's the mission, and that's the meaning. of what I wanted to do, which is to have fun, help myself to close the gap, find opportunity, and contribute. So help myself and help the company, society, the customers. So there's alignment, my interest, and having fun also, because my approach there was empowerment. So since I wrote the books and I want to encourage people to have the ownership, I share those ideas of the mini company and the suggestion program or business plan and alignment to the top management level across whole organization. So that's the package that I created, and I worked in the US, but also 30, 40 countries around the world. And then I had a little company, but decided to be on my own. Then I have more freedom to have fun, and then come to New Zealand where I wanted to go, but later, because before that I had a house in Ireland, and I picked up fly fishing, and someone said, "Why don't you go to New Zealand?" I thought, that's crazy, spending time and money to go there. But since I have the mileage accumulated as a part of my moving around, I could go. And since I was independent, I can open up the time, even 3 months or 4 months of the year for the 15 years or something, every day. Every year I did that. Into the nature, and living in the small car, and then van, and then minivan, and all over the place, and brought the Zen book, and that's what I did. In the meantime, so it's my life story, but there's a meaning that is I'm finding what I like to do that helps people, and I have fun and engage other activities like fishing and so forth. So I start to do all the rivers in South Island, and then I went to North Island. By that time I started surfing and spearfishing, and and then eventually bought the house, and that's where I am. And the story is that someone said, "Why don't you go up the place and do diving?" And he said, "I camped here, and there's a lady," and asked which is the direction, and she said, "By the way, this house is for sale." And that's the house I'm living in now. It sounds like I did everything right, but that's not the case. And I'm not going to talk about it because you're not interested. Well, maybe you're interested, but maybe some other time. So it's a journey. You do your best, move on. The scenery changed, people interaction, opportunity happens, world change, and you are changing. And I'm doing the meditation and Zen. And there's some incident that happened that triggered me to have some suffering. and that might be the reason why I get more serious about meditation. So I picked up Vipassana, because before that I did Zen in Los Angeles, because I met people here and there, and that's another story, which I shared. And because of the Vipassana, I had this experience, Danga, enlightenment. And then I find more reason for what I wanted to do, because when I start to get into Zen and picked up the books, I couldn't understand it. But something told me this is fascinating that I have to figure out. And I thought, when I get old, I can play with this all the time or something. And that's what I'm doing. So you never know. And it may not work that way, because I may have had the same sense in certain other aspect of business and so forth, but it may not have happened, and the relationship may not have happened. And we are not going to talk about it. But I'm just talking about what happened, like Geoffrey Hinton, my version of it. So that's where I am. So what I do now, and I share this already to answer to his question somewhere, maybe I'll find it. It's all related to the middle way and the brain and the heart and how to come up with a wisdom, insight, view, which way to go, make the right decision. So that's what the life is about. And the Zen and all the people, or Shin Buddhism, background is different. Geoffrey Hinton didn't have to go to, or was not interested in Zen, but actually he was interested in philosophy. And that's what he said. And I thought, wow, that guy is so interesting. Covering all sorts of things. And have the clear mind. So he didn't have to read Zen, but he may be practicing the Samadhi. I could feel that. And that's what I said when I talked of the mini company. And each mini universe is different, but the structure, and depending on what you like, you can be the surfer or the painter or the businessman or scientist. You like what you really want to do and have fun, and to connect what you can to help yourself so that you can do that and help others at the same time, and at the same time having fun and have the mission and package together and work on that simultaneously, because everything is related to each other. So, but there's a model of how to do it. And external change, internal change, I talked about it, and I gave the model and shared that with its brain and heart and mission, and then writing the book Results from the Heart. I asked Dalai Lama to give me a forward, and he gave me, because one idea of the mini company and the mini universe and all of that, and listening to the heart, and I said, use the brain and listen to your heart and live with the mission. So it's all aligned, right? So that's the year 2002. And he gave me. And before that, they said he didn't read it and said there are 200, 300 books. You're not the one that he's going to respond. And I explained this idea of the mini company, mini universe, and the interpenetration. It's called the Holon structure. Each mini company may relate to each other, like each mini universe, but you don't see the whole thing, but everybody does his own with the ownership and accountability. Have the mission, customer orientation, KPI, business plan, PDCA, plan to check act, and glass wall management, transparency to share with customers, suppliers, bankers, write annual report. And that's the same concept when I talk about the life profile, which is also in the video already posted. And all these ideas, I'm not going to, it's a very interesting idea. I've already shared, but just briefly related to the, what's the meaning? So with those models, I have the idea of the meaning of why I do it, what and how, and how to align my interest to help myself, what I really want to do, and what people may appreciate, that I can help them. And I have the mission, I have fun, and how to manage. So the idea of what I wrote and also shared in the book, I apply to my life. So it was for the companies and organizations, and I could see the same thing happen within my mini company or mini me. And I write annual report, but in this case called the life profile. And there's a checklist and the quality control, PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Because you want to do the quality control of your mind. Plan, do, check, act, plan and do and check the result and see what happened. And that is corresponding to like a Sila Samadhi Panya. In that case, not just in the brain, you the whole brain and heart connected to process that, so that you can have the meaning in what you do for yourself, for others, for your mini universe, and whole society almost. So I said in one of the books, donated or said at the beginning, this book is for those who shed the light in the corners of the world. That's the mini universe. So it's there for the company. I shared that in the book called The New Shopla Management. And that whole idea in there, it applies to my life. And the first book is called The New Manufacturing Challenge, Waste Elimination and so forth. And it applies to all the waste that I create in my life. So, and listen to the heart, results from the heart. Use the brain, listen to your heart, and live with a mission is also tied to that concept. So it has been a long story, 25 minutes already, but the meaning is to find. That's how I found the meaning, and that's why I can do this, because I like to do it. And when someone says to my video, his sentence was, "What's the meaning of life?" Yes, let's talk about it. So that was last night, I think. I said, tomorrow I'll write, maybe send you the, YouTube, and that's what I'm doing. I don't know what PCK21, how he listened to it, maybe give me a comment, and how he lives, and I want him to send me the annual report if he want to practice it, and the KPI of how he manages, and what's the PDCA and Shila Samadhi Panya, and how to connect to the heart, all of that. But I'm not going to push it, because it's ownership and accountability of how you feel, because this may not be the right mini universe for whoever, for any person. I'm just one with my view, my model, my approach, and living, but everybody can be different. And that's the fun part of it. But I'd be happy to share and go through PDCA so that I keep learning with the interacting with people, and hopefully I shed the light somewhere at the corner of the universe, and maybe some people may pick up and move on. I think that's the story of the meaning of life. It starts from the beginning and end in whatever way, but there's a certain model, and I'm hoping that you find the good meaning in what you do in life.